Yeah, and shout out to Alan providing this list of coaches. It's a really interesting conversation. A lot of the coaches, you know, it's kind of a mind game. It's a game within the game. They want to understand which of the other players, which of the other players have a coach, which coach they're competing against, because you want to understand the mindset of the coach. You want to understand, you know, their patterns, which decks they like to pick when. It's a very interesting conversation, maybe for another time. Right now, we have Lucas versus Arden here. Skeletons and Log from Lucas at the top are ready with a cycle deck. Arden not playing a card at all. Maybe a bit of a heavier deck here.
Yeah, exactly what I'm thinking there. And I see here in the chat a couple people asking where you can vote. event.supercell.com/Clash Royale. Get all your predictions in. You can win some in-game rewards. And you can be a part of the conversation, obviously, that we're having here on broadcast. And Marcher, Log, Skellies, so probably going to see a NATO here. And NATO out from Arden.
Evil Valkyrie in a Tornado, maybe a Hog Rider deck, maybe something else. Lucas playing this Magic Archer, Golden Knight Tornado deck. He was very known for this deck back in the day as well, usually with a Miner, but maybe potentially a Goblin Drill with this Golden Knight here would be a little bit more synergist.
Yeah, some of those good old NATO connections that Lucas gave us with that Golden Knight is probably something he's trying to replicate here in 2024. It's been a while since the Golden Knight NATO combo has been very effective. And that's probably something that you might be excited about too, Juicy, being an E-Giant player, although I saw that you were playing it without the Golden Knight, which Golden Knight still does feel like maybe the weakest of the champions.
So I don't mean to switch the topic, but this will be counter activation here with the bowler. This Tesla placement is so important from Lucas here. This King Tower activation will probably win him the game. This King Tower is super good versus Graveyard, makes it so that the Graveyard Skeletons are really not able to get a lot of damage. Arden, his path to victory now is going to be basically Bowler Tornado. Now that is going to be the main win condition, as Lucas has a great start as we head into Double Elixir.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, is you're just looking for those bowler lineups at this point. And, you know, you can still get graveyards in here and there, but you have to have a massive elixir advantage and then graveyard. Otherwise, it's just going to be so easily defended. And Lucas will do the correct thing in that situation, which is to take a little bit of damage and then come back and win the game. So great NATO there on one side. Freeze on the other side is kind of a save me button. And I think Arden is just in a world of hurt having freeze and graveyard as his... as those last three cards with the Inferno Dragon. I think he's just in a world of hurt.
Yeah, I mean, the freeze might give him a chance, at least now. When he goes for a Graveyard, he can freeze the Princess and the King Tower. But as long as Lucas has good placements on his other troops, he can prevent that freeze value. And we see that already, like you're saying. You know, he's in a world of hurt. He's taking a lot of damage on the right-hand side. Another big thing here that we saw earlier today, but we need to see today, right now as well from artists, we need to see a lane switch. You need to go same lane in this matchup, counter push off these Valkyries and bowlers that you use on defense versus the Goblin Drone. Looks like that might be what we see right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's listening in on the broadcast, Juice. He's going all this elixir on that right-hand side, going to try to overwhelm. And then Lucas doing the exact thing you have to do, which is demand that NATO out by placing your Magic Archer just far enough away, because otherwise there is absolutely no way to take care of that Magic Archer. And here's what we're talking about. This is not a big enough, at least in my mind, elixir advantage from Arden to do a lot of damage here for Lucas. The freeze, like you said, going to get a little bit of damage in, but great placement there on the Tesla by Lucas. If he's playing it on the outside, then you have to choose. Do I freeze the Tesla and the Princess, or do I freeze the Princess and the King?
That's a great call. It's just one extra thing you got to be thinking about with that King activated. I like this play from Lucas as well here, being able to switch lanes. You always want to go opposite lane, and the Tornado on the offense with the drill is super valuable, pulling that Valkyrie backward, allowing the Goblin to lock on the tower, not to mention the Magic Archer as well.
I love that you're calling that out too, because that's such an ego move a lot of times in games when you know that you need to switch lanes, but you've already got good damage on one side, and for some reason you don't want to do what is correct. And I love that you called it out as quickly as Lucas did it, where he goes, all right, he recognized that he needed to switch lanes, so I recognize I need to switch lanes once again, and just keep that damage spread thin. Arden, though, doing an okay job of coming back into this 1665 to 1602. Wow. And that is a lot more damage than I think Lucas expected to take.
The Goblin Drill's on the tower. The freeze drops. It's The Skeletons are not able to do enough. Arden shaking his head. Lucas taking game number 1.
And I mean, literally this whole game can be chalked back up to what happened at the very, very start. That placement. Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. It is not a good start for you today. I think Rich is perfect on the day, going with all the old school players. And I think Josh is maybe just one off, or maybe him and Rich have the exact same thing. I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, I go Momo in game 1, Clown in game 2, or match 2, and I'm already just a little bit behind. And we'll see if Arden can pull through for me. And it's been great, honestly. It's been really great to get a couple predictions wrong, not know what's coming out. I mean, like you said, balance changes. It's a lot to do. It's a lot to kind of take on, and I think they did do a very, very good job with these balances.
Arden using the Hog Rider this time, one of the favorite decks in the current meta, with the Giant Skeleton, which I do like. Giant Skeleton with the Evo Tesla as well, so he is able to be strong versus any sort of air as well. Looks like Lucas at the top, maybe using Roll Giant. There's the Roll Giant at the bridge. No Tesla cycle right now. That could be a huge difference maker here.
Yeah, and if you got the bar barrel coming in, there it is. Not able to get on top of those goblins. Played just a little bit low there by Arden, but still taking a decent amount of damage. 24-38 to 24-16. King Tower activation in for Lucas, as we see a Hog Giant Skeleton push on that right-hand side. Hog should get at least one hit here, and there it is.
Okay, another connection here. Last card from Lucas should be a Fisherman. Overall, I would probably give Lucas a slight edge in this matchup, especially with the Skeleton King version. I like the Skeleton King version versus Hog a lot, because a lot of time it is paired with his Tombstone. So you now have a building and a Fisherman for a Hog, and that Skeleton King in front of the RG, especially the Evo RG on offense, can be huge for tanking for the RG.
I think the other thing about this matchup, and it's kind of a weird thing to think about because all these players are so good, but you know, Lucas is one of the, and that's a lot of arrows value. Lucas, wow, and then you get the bomber coming in, barely sniped off in time. Let me finish my thought. Lucas is one of the best Hog Rider players in the game, so you think about playing Hog Rider against Lucas, and you know, he's always going to be at least on the same page as you. I don't think you're going to surprise him by your interactions or your cycle or anything, and we'll see if Lucas's wherewithal and know-how with Hog Rider is going to come into this factor or this matchup at all.
You mentioned the arrows value. Arrows are definitely going to be very important in this matchup. You need it for the goblins, and you need it for the firecracker. Most importantly, the firecracker. I think one of the biggest paths to victory for Arden, if he is going to beat the Tombstone plus Fisherman defense versus the Hog, is he going to be able to, he's going to need to outcycle the arrows basically, especially with the Evo Firecracker.
Yeah, and that's a little bit tough, you know. I mean, obviously Lucas's deck is pretty heavy, but because he has that Skeleton King, he has the ability to get to a 3-card cycle if he starts to feel, you know, himself falling behind in that cycle race. And there you go, Skeleton King cycled in the back. Now 3-card cycle is activated, and you know, the Fish Boy, the Tombstone, the Bar Barrel, the Bomber, they really make being able to get back around a lot more easy than it might look when you first look at how heavy this deck can be.
Evo Firecracker on the board for the defense. Arrows does drop on top of that. After the nerf, she will go down. Evo Tesla is in cycle as well, though, to be able to defend against the Roll Giant. Maybe with 3-card cycle, as you mentioned, Lucas will be able to cycle back to that Roll Giant quickly, but he has to defend first. I like the high anti-spell placement of the Tombstone plus the Fisherman to be able to defend. Arden needs to maybe outcycle both of these Hog counters, though, for a chance to get a connection.
And this is exactly what I was kind of talking about at the top of this game, was just that Lucas knows exactly what you have to do as a Hog Rider player. He knows the most frustrating things to run into. He knows the best way to defend against Hog. And he's really taking all that knowledge and making it impossible for Arden to break through. I mean, the best thing that Arden has going for him right now is the fact that he got those Hog hits early and that he has Poison as opposed to Earthquake. So he can actually be in something of a spell cycle race.
Yeah, that's a good call. Poison's very important here. We see the Hog plus Poison on the right, though, but look at the Evo RG getting 2 nice shots on the left, which is important, especially with only 25 seconds left. You need to be able to get that dual lane pressure. Now, speaking of not dual lane pressure, we got one huge push on the right with the Giant Skeleton, with the Skeleton King ability, and the RG's on tower. This is what I'm talking about, the Skeleton King just tanking forever, and there's another RG in cycle.
Second RG down. Lucas gonna go with the straight victory. 2 up, 2 down, And I love it. I absolutely love it. Again, I'm happy to be wrong here. And I'm so happy to see Lucas and Morten dominating here. Great set.
I love telling the story, but we were supposed to pick up Lucas for, I believe it was SSG, and my coach told Lucas, okay, I want you to test this deck. And then 6 hours later, he came back and he said, all right, I played 50 games with 2.6. I played 30 games with this deck. What do you want me to do next? It had nothing to do with how many games he won. It had everything to do with, I want to put myself in a position to succeed. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. I will train.
Hog EQ AQ here for Lucas most likely, and we've seen Archer Queen come out for sub as well. I mean, Lucas is arguably one of our top 3 favorite players in the entire game, I think, from all of us casters. He's such a fun guy to be around. I love the trash talk in person. He's just got a great attitude, but when it comes to the competitive scene, you know, he is just really finding himself just falling a little bit short. And I think for all of us and for him, hoping that he can kind of put things together here with a meta that feels like it suits him for once, but we'll see what his Twitter says about that in just a little bit as Sub busts out the MK.
Yeah, we'll find out later or not, like, whether or not he won or if the meta's bad.
And already to both the Evos there as the Evo Ice Spirit plus the Evo Skellies do a lot of work.
Yeah, Sub running MK, and I believe, I could be wrong, I've missed 1 or 2 games, but I believe that might be the first MK that we've seen all day.
First one of the day, and maybe the only one of the day, honestly. MK has been coming up just a little bit more. There's that good old MK Skelly Barrel minor deck without a big spell. Now it has Evo Bats and I think Evo Zap in it, but you know, not seeing that a lot at the highest level.
And one deck that we're seeing a decent amount, and by a decent amount, I've seen it twice today. This Royal Hogs Archer Queen. Archer Queen has shown to be a pretty spectacular card in this meta right now. And then the Royal Hogs, definitely a decent card that seems to be getting value whenever it's placed on the field.
Yeah, Royal Hogs AQ, it's really exciting to see it back. I mean, there was definitely a time where it felt super overused, but now Archer Queen with, you know, the most popular spells being like arrows and poison and things like that, it feels like we're not seeing a lot of lightnings, but I gotta say, it really feels like Sub knew what to expect here in this game. He has Ram Rider, he has MK, he has Bandit for damage, he's got Lightning for the Archer Queen. I mean, he really just doesn't have a direct way to stop like a Hog Rider specifically. You know, like a building, but it feels like he was looking for Hog EQ.
Yeah, it's just like once it hits that double, the late double triple elixir, Lucas's deck, and we saw it in the game earlier today, these Royal Hogs, once it's triple elixir and you don't have that second Mega Knight that you can place down on top,
yeah,
it is so hard to stop them once they get that split lane pressure.
And AQ ability does get pressed, but the delivery comes down, and I guess I'm not 100% sure whether the elixir was returned or not. This is those Evo Skellies do a great job against the barrel. Piggy's up high, and now those Evo Skellies are actually going to take care of the MK also. And Lucas just getting a lot out of his evolutions in this game, which when you have 2 1 elixir Evos and you're getting a lot of value out of them, that is a great way to win the game.
Yeah, and right there, like, I know Sub gave up, I don't know, whatever it was, like 1,000 HP worth of damage. It almost felt like that was the best scenario that could have happened for him. I really thought the game was going to be over just like that, but the skeletons didn't start spawning on top of the tower, and it saved his life completely. And that's triple cannon.
Yeah, triple cannon, and you got Lucas letting a lot of damage come in on the left-hand side, but really just to kind of even up the 2 towers. Now we have a bomber being played defensively. Somehow, with the MK, with the bomber, with the barrel, Hoggies still connect down to 641. And, you know, this is exactly what we were mentioning before, is just as we're deeper into double and triple, there's just no way to stop those Royal Hogs coming in. You need a building, you need some sort of slow or some stun. You can't just straight DPS them down. And Lucas obviously not giving a lot of good Archer Queen value. Archer Queen connects on the left-hand side, though. Not going to be enough. 641, 1247.
Ram Rider not going to be able to connect to 1247, 641. Lucas, I mean, especially what he's done with these pushes, he does the Evo Skellies low and then the Royal Hogs high. He's done a great job of setting himself up. It's just whether or not Sub can take this tower right here.
Yeah, and you know, there's no way he's going to be able to. Small misplay there by Lucas, allowing that Ice Spirit to get taken off the board. But, you know, I really love what Lucas was doing in terms of putting his opponent in a really, really uncomfortable spot from top to bottom. You mentioned it, saying that the best option for sub at Wayne or demand a response out of sub off of that bar barrel, right? So everything Lucas did was just correct from top to bottom. And we'll see if he can do that again here in game number 2.
I mean, it makes sense because obviously this is July. We've had, this is our 4th monthly final now, but there are so few mistakes from these players. It feels like in the first 3 months, even month number 3, where it was like, all right, you know, that is a massive error. He lost the game because of that. It feels like we're seeing small errors and, you know, some gameplay being, you know, a few major mistakes. But for the most part, this has been beautiful gameplay today.
Yeah, it's been really, really cool, clean from top to bottom of the entire show. And Ram Rider here coming out for Lucas, which, again, you talk about Ram Rider from sub. I mean, that's a guy that had an 89% win rate with Ram Rider in the qualies. He went 8 of 9 in those games. And Lucas just adding to that L column because sub had not experienced it much with Ram Rider. And now Lucas, like I said, coming out with Ram Rider of his own, Evo Zap plus Bar Barrel. And, you know, it's been a while since we've seen a deck that looks exactly like this.
And Lucas also going to be running the Mega Knight as well. So 2 different players running the Mega Knight variation. Can he take the Wizard off of the map? Wow. This is going to be potentially scary for sub.
Yeah, this is real scary for sub. Now that the Fish Boy comes out, that Fish Boy being out of play, Inferno was on the tower, no E-Spirit in cycle, has to fireball, then the Ram Rider's gonna come in. There's the Ram, that's the game, ladies and gentlemen. I just do not know how you can come back from this much damage and this much of a deficit against someone as good as Lucas.
Yeah, I mean, sub minimizing damage where he can. A great E-Spirit right there to chain on top of the Bomber and the Ram Rider. But as great as that E-Spirit was, your tower's still down to 1220. And I mean, RG is always going to struggle against Inferno Dragons. Yep. Inferno Dragon can always keep it at bay. And that's exactly what Lucas is prepared for right now.
Yep, cycle it in the back. That way it's the card that comes back around. First time you go 4 around, even if the RG goes opposite lane, it doesn't have the support of the Monk or the Wizard or the Fisherman. So just really great stuff here from Lucas. Also creating pressure on that left-hand side to demand Elixir out of your opponent. Now sub is barely ticking to 6. He's not going to drop an RG into that. He hasn't even gotten 1 RG out yet. And yeah, it looks like everyone is in agreement here with the Inferno Dragon kind of being the X factor for Lucas, and I'm sure he knows that.
Yeah, and he really, I was going to say earlier, I feel like he was not protecting his Wizard enough. And then right there, again, he gives it up. We saw in Cloud's gameplay how important it is to protect your Wizard, how important it is to protect the troops that are on the field. It's going to be game.
That's the game, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where if you're playing against Magic Archer, it's at the bridge. If you're playing against Magic Archer, that's gonna be played at the bridge. Like, I know that sounds too easy, but it's just gonna happen. You watch the best players in the world, and until you are predicting them numerous times in a match, that
defensive capabilities are those Evo Skeletons, which did kind of allow him to win that match, especially versus a Barbarian Barrel. But he did a great job of just keeping that cycle in tow, like in cycle perfectly the whole time.
So one thing to note for both of these players, Morten has won his first 2 sets 2-1, 2-1. On the flip side, Lucas has gone 2-0, 2-0. So Morten has shown a few more decks, you know, and Lucas and his coach are going to have a little bit easier of a time to try and counter what Morten is going to bring out.
Ghost in the back. So we have Lucas actually with a drill deck and Morten with the minor poison. Most likely Lucas is going to be using the tornado as well, which might give Lucas a bit of an edge here, especially versus the miner.
So Lucas in his first game of the day, he did run the quick cycle, Demolisher, Drill, Tesla, NATO. Gonna switch it up just a little bit, but still run that Drill, NATO combination.
Mine on the left here in the anti-tornado placement. That's going to drop down right away. You can see Morten shaking his head a little bit when he sees the Monk. Monk is the natural counter to Archer Queen as seen here. which just in general is going to mean it's a lot easier for Lucas to keep his 3-card cycle activated. He's going to be able to get some more positive elixir trades potentially, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Morton in general. What Morton has is the poison, though. The poison is going to be a big difference maker, especially once we hit into triple elixir, where the poison cycle is going to be getting lots of damage.
Yeah, we're going to see how Lucas wants to attack this matchup with no big spell and just the tornado. These Archer Queens, these Valkyries, these guards, when placed on Morton's side of the map, are just going to get so much value. It's going to be so difficult to take them out if you're Lucas.
Ghost does pretty good versus Archer Queen. You have to respond. He drops the guards as well. Monk, the miner. Morton doing a great job of applying dual lane pressure here, realizing that he cannot go the same lane as Lucas here. Lucas, same lane with the wizard and the monk is going to be brutal. So he's getting damage on both sides so he can switch lanes whenever necessary.
Tesla out of cycle for Morton, just taken off the map right there. Trying to figure out what Morton is supposed to do, because he keeps cycling the wizards, the magic archers in the middle of the bridge, not really trying to, and right there, just outside of the range, that's going to be 3 shots. That's a good interaction for Lucas. But I'm just trying to figure out how Lucas wants to set up specifically the wizard and magic archer and how he wants to keep them alive on the map.
Yeah, especially versus the poison. I guess you just need that evil wizard in cycle. And yeah, the Tesla is also a great card as well here because Tesla does not get deflected by Monk. It's kind of an anti-Monk building. The wizard in the middle here makes it so the Valkyrie has to be responded to as well. But once again, the Ghost is just so underrated. It's able to stay invisible here and just walk straight past his Tesla.
Yeah, right there. Somehow it doesn't walk past the Tesla. Tesla gonna awaken multiple times in order to take it out. So a very fortunate situation for Morton right there. And Lucas just gonna pop the ability, try and take the Archer Queen off the map, and see how he wants to attack this final part of the game. 15 seconds away from triple elixir. Both players relatively even. Lucas, both of his towers at 2450 HP.
Guards might be the MVP of the day. The guards are so strong after the buff a while ago to not die to arrows. Of course, being able to survive log as well. Guards are being used from both players here to defend the miner, to defend the drill. The question is, who's going to be able to counter push or to break through those guards more efficiently? And I think that answer is going to be Lucas. He just needs one good wizard or magic archer on those guards to line up on tower. But if he can, then Morton might just win this just once again with those poison cycles.
Yeah, it really looks like Lucas has one more opportunity to push. He's going to go in with kind of a fake push on the first one, go in with the monk at the bridge, then the drill. But that second push is going to be the one that matters the most. Right there, is that 2 shots from the magic archer that I saw?
1 or 2. The Valkyrie eventually takes it out, but now here comes a double wizard at the bridge with the drill. The real push, as you said it. Galba drill is a massive threat here with the magic archer. Not able to stop, but the fire spirit connects. As a fireball's worth of damage on tower for 1 elixir. Now this magic archer needs a connection. Wait a second. Misclicked on the defense. The Valkyrie is late. The magic archer connects, and Lucas takes game number 1.
Wow, a rare mistake coming in from Morton right there. Doesn't get it down in time. Oh my goodness, I need to see the replay on that. If he did,
I don't think the log would have got the job done either because the bats were tanking for the magic archer. So he just had to delay that poison with his miner a little bit. He just needed to defend that magic archer first and then play the poison to clutch up the game. A slight misplay, but in the highest level of Clash Royale, this is a $1 million league, or I mean, you just can't be making mistakes like that.
Yeah, as crazy as it sounds, like it can't be done. That is such a minuscule error.
I know.
0.05 seconds away from being able to get that. That is brutal, but great for me. I'm now 1 step closer to tying up Rich.
I'm not even trying to catch up to Rich at this point. I'm just trying to tie up with Andrew. But looking at this matchup here, we have Lucas at the bottom now with the minor poison, and Morton at the top with the P.E.K.K.A here. So this is another one of those matchups where it's like, if both players play perfect, Lucas is most likely just going to win just because The defense is very strong, and the minor poison damage is consistent, but it is also in Lucas's core to not make any mistakes. One mistake and a Rainrider connects, one mistake and a P.E.K.K.A hits or a Wizard connects here or there, and then it's going to be almost impossible to come back from that point.
And right there, that should be a shot unless he uses the log, gets it off just in time. Valkyrie plus Ice Spirit plus log, able to stop the Rainrider from getting a shot.
Another thing to mention here is that in single elixir, as we talked about before, it's not actually the cheaper deck that is better in single elixir. It's the more expensive deck, because the cheaper deck does not have a lot of the time, doesn't have the facilities to be able to defend these big pushes in single elixir. Morton played this fantastically at the start in order to get that elixir advantage, in order to get his pack to the back to make this push. The problem is, double elixir comes in at the perfect moment for Lucas, and he's able to defend without a big deal at all, and he's going to be able to continue that for the rest of the match now.
So both towers perfectly healthy for Lucas. Morton's lowest tower still at 2691, so definitely anybody's game. And Morton finally able to set himself up with these big pushes. P.E.K.K.A plus Rainrider plus everything on the left. Could be trouble for Lucas.
Okay, Lucas is doing a good job of having some solid defense, though. He cycles back to his second Tesla to pull the Battle Ram, but also to take out the Phoenix. Wizard, a small threat, but he just uses the Ice Spirit to tank one shot. That's the first damage from Morton of the game, but he's still not in the damage lead.
It really is. I feel like if I wanted to become a better player, I would watch all of Lucas's games where he has to use buildings, because what he does with in terms of placement is something that I haven't seen before by any player, even Mo. So far, it has worked out spectacularly for him, where it always seems like he's making the right adjustment.
Evil Valkyrie tries his best to stop everything, but the Rainrider does connect, and that is the small mistake I'm talking about. Whether it's a mistake or just a, just an unlucky cycle, he's not able to stop this Rainrider charge, and now all of a sudden Morton is in the damage lead, and Lucas needs to come back, and that's not what Minor Poison is best at. Minor Poison is best at having a damage lead and continuing that lead and having solid defense. But now in Triple Elixir, he's going to have to focus very aggressively with Minor Poisons to get this damage back.
Yeah, and if I'm Lucas, I'm poisoning the left. I'm trying to get a poison on top of the tower plus the Wizard. I feel like in this matchup, you don't want to go same lane, but Lucas is disagreeing with my hypothesis and trying to do so.
Yeah, at the very least, you will get some good spell damage off your poisons by going same lane. I love this Miner to the back, too, pulling the P.E.K.K.A backwards, allowing the Valkyrie to connect, and there you go. The damage lead is back for Lucas, and all of a sudden, it's not looking great for Morton, but he's making the plays he needs to. Look at this dual lane pressure. It's like we're watching Royal Giant. We got two P.E.K.K.As on the board with the Rainrider. Look at this Tesla placement, though. You called it earlier. These building placements by Lucas are legendary. That was a beautiful defense.
And he gets the next Tesla up as well, 1900 to 2065. He needs to get a poison on top of the tower. The Evo Zap gonna go in with a Miner. Can he get the poison down in time? Ghost going to hit it.
The Phoenix. Wait, the Phoenix explosion. Wow. Oh no, but Lucas takes a win by like 20 HP and gets the 2-0 sweep, knocking Morton out, and I don't know what else to say. That was so close.
Close this out in a maximum of 3 games, and then, like you said, be the only person that's at World Finals so far that was able to do it on his own.
Zap log to open things up.
How did you keep it together, man? I was screaming.
That's, all you can do, really, is just try to stay focused and keep talking. But I have the benefit of being on
Ice Spirit not be evo'd here. You'd think it'd be Ice Spirit Evo with Skelly's Evo with Royal Hogs, but maybe it's just going to be the Evo Tesla instead.
Very curious to see if that's the case. Delivery doesn't land on top of him. Still brings them all in together.
And if I'm Light, I'm hoping that I have the Evo Tesla instead of the Evo Ice Spirit, and there it is. That's going to do well here in the skies. And you know what? Maybe this is the idea of, all right, people have been talking, the casters have been talking, everyone's seen this deck that I've been running that can't be beaten. Everyone's saying Lava Hound is the way to beat it. So what does Lucas do? He runs Lava Hound. Mo changes things up. I don't know if it's quite as binary as that, but at least if you're looking on paper, it might feel that way.
Well, it works out nicely for Lucas in the opening exchange of damage, 1474 on the right-hand tower. Lucas undefeated today, has not dropped a game, and off to a good start here in the grand final.
Yeah, and him doing it over Arden and Sub and Morton is just so incredibly impressive.
Queen, Delivery, Ice Spirit, Evo, Tesla to try to deal with this aerial pressure. And early protection against the Void spell.
Nice timing there by Lucas, just kind of waiting, and then he waits to waiting to play that Void, but Mo Light knows that that's basically the final moment that you can play that Void and still have any effect, so he drops some protection around it. Really good job there defending. 1593, 1474, as this Valkyrie will get kited all the way around the map, and she won't be doing a whole lot.
Do we anticipate like a zap Void here? Clear the skellies, hit the Queen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely the way to go, is you want to try to use your Evo in conjunction, and there you go, Rich. Perfect call there. Zap, Evo Zap plus the Void spell, but I think Mo's ready for it, right? He gets the double Tesla down. He gets the Evo out to pull the balloon in. Evo ability goes off. Second Tesla focused on the balloon. Really nicely played there. And now just a second late here on the delivery because he wants to catch actually the skeleton dragons instead of just the lava pups. So nice sequencing by Mo, but that's a lot of damage, and that Lava Hound is still relatively healthy. AQ goes down.
And then a zap on the Tesla. Pups trying to help, they can't. 572 to 795, just outside of Death Bomb range.
And Mo, I don't think can attack right now. Oh no, never mind, it's not Evo Valkyrie. Okay, so Mo just kind of holding, pausing.
And you know that Lucas wants to get back to that Evo Valk.
And now that the Archer Queen is 3 cards away or 4 cards away, you wonder how Lucas is going to attack. And I really love the patience here we're seeing from Lucas. Gets out that second Tesla now. Evo Tesla off the board and sets up a lava in the back. Now he's back to Evo Valkyrie. This is really, really nicely played by Lucas.
And goes with the zap. Not playing the Void yet. Does drop it late.
It's an interesting Evo Skeletons off to the left-hand side.
Man, maybe trying to kite the skeleton dragons away. Doesn't get it done, though.
And second Loon in. Should be able to get back now to the Void. Evo Zap comes down. There's the Void. And skeletons do protect. AQ stays alive. This is an incredible chess match right now.
This is so tense. Absolutely tense. EQ in finally. 33 seconds left. Lucas has to be aware of that problem. He's suddenly behind because he's not been able to get any extra damage onto that Princess Tower for a while now.
Yeah, and I think there it is. He's forced to use the Evo Valk to create some space because he knows that Mohamed Light has recognized where those piggies are, where they are in the cycle, and the only way that Lucas can get damage is by getting a balloon through, getting a Lava Hound through. Mo doesn't need the damage anymore, and that was just absolutely incredible from top to bottom from both of these players. Mohamed Light did not use his win condition for 2 minutes because he knew that mental game of the Evo Valkyrie was going to be played until he could watch that game reset, a grand finals reset. We'll go to match 15, and if Lucas wins, we'll be going to game number 3.
Yay.
So early look at the Evos for Mohamed Light. Lucas maybe showing bait, and he is.
He goes, that worked pretty well for Morton. For most of the game.
For most of the game. It's just so interesting how Evos really have done this this amazing thing. And, you know, is everything that gets new into a game absolutely perfect? No, absolutely not. But Evos have done a great job of resurrecting cards of giving cards new life, and without having to think about other aspects of balance necessarily, right? One of the hard parts about balancing Goblin Barrel is you're not just balancing Goblin Barrel, but in a lot of ways, unless you're talking about deploy time or things like that, when you balance Goblin, if you change the Goblins, you're changing Stab Gobs, you're changing Goblin Gang, you're changing so many other cards. Whereas this Evo has suddenly changed things where, hey, you're just adding a little something new.
Yeah, I think the evolution's really, you know, like you said, it's impossible to, I think, release it into the wild and it just be perfectly balanced when it starts. And a big part of that is how brilliant our analysts and coaches and players are, right? They see something and they go, wow, this is a glaring oversight now that this change has happened, whether it's champions, evolutions, balance, what have you. And yeah, I really do think Evos in general are very close to the best they've ever been, if not the best they've been. Also, yeah, what is Mohamed Light playing? I agree, whoever that is in chat. I mean, we've seen him do this numerous times where it's like, okay, that card hasn't been played at all in competitive, like Electro Dragon. And this is a beautiful Evo Bomber. My goodness. The value, the damage.
And then look at this, the guards to protect that Dark Goblin was like a lemming. It just walked directly into its own death.
Gets the King Tower activation, does Lucas, but at what cost, as we see here? Stacking up a ton of damage, though, against Momo. Evo Bats just not quite doing it for him. 960 remains, about 1,000 HP behind.
Evo Goblin Barrel is wild, though. I will say that. It is wild when you split both sides. You're like, what am I supposed to do about that?
Yeah, it's something that you can really get punished by earlier in the game, right? If you find yourself overspending or without a response, you're just in a lot of trouble. I mean, right now we're going to see Mo take three more stabs there, down to 720.
And Lucas going to go ahead and eat that Evo Drag, or the Electro Dragon. And we haven't seen Princess at the Bridge yet. That's a nice connection for one.
Yep, that's huge. And the protection there on the Dark Goblin. Now all of a sudden this pressure can get turned way up.
And maybe going long here with the barrel. Yep.
Yeah. Good pressure on the right-hand side, though. That's not going to kill those stabs. That's game.
Wow. Game 3 on its way. Let's go.
Let's do it, man. Incredible stuff there. And this is actually really fascinating because, you know, you look at
2019 who
the monthly finals from Mohamed Light, and already we're seeing Momo go back to what was working really well, although he does not have Monk. And there's a Monk out from Lucas with a Fish Boy, so we could be seeing Royal Giant Monk. And, you know, if I called it, I'm a little worried that maybe Mo's analyst did as well.
And Mohamed Light might be running Mega Knight here. Ooh, and that Wizard just walks away from the Ghost. Wow.
Yeah, that's a shame there. That's a type of mistake you really don't want to make.
Does get a couple of Wizard shots onto that little Prince, but still Lucas has to do a bit more. And wow, a curse.
And it doesn't do anything.
Oh my word.
Ugh. That is, I mean, this has been a pretty ugly start for Lucas. I really don't know how I feel about the curse coming through.
Well, you see what he was trying to do there and just didn't do it. Ram Rider will connect and get him back in the conversation a little bit, but man, that curse could have turned the little Prince and then distracted the Guardian and been fine, but just doesn't do quite enough damage to make that happen.
1182, 2254. Mohamed Light looking to push this to a grand finals reset. Lucas looking to close things out with Goblin Curse, which I believe has a 0% win rate on the day. Wizard does connect, though, and narrowing that gap just a little bit more is the Brazilian.
And Lucas has to eat some shots there as well, but going to have to spend some HP on that left-hand tower to get some of these interactions right.
Isn't there a King Tower activation with that Royal Ghost Fisherman there? I wonder if that was a missed opportunity or I don't know.
And this time the curse will actually turn in some goblins. You know, I'm very curious what he thought he was going to be facing. Skeletons are out. Bats are out. What are you trying to curse here if you're Lucas?
Ooh, those Evo those Evo Skellies, the curse comes out. Okay, 937. I feel like right now this deck is just not working the way that Lucas wants it to.
And an Inferno Tower. So Mohamed Light with a lot of stuff going right for him.
That P.E.K.K.A range, though, takes care of the little prince. Now the Wizard's able to snipe off that tower. Second Inferno comes down, and a Ram Rider behind. Double connection on the right side. Yeah. He's just looking to tower trade, but I don't think he has enough time.
No, and I think Mohamed Light knows that it's GG there. Yep, he has the poison.
Wow.
And here comes the bracket reset, folks. Run it back. Best of 3 to see if anybody can stop Mohamed Light from the reign of terror.
My month, the next final, so much to be said, and only one opportunity to claim it on your own. Everything else comes into things falling into place, right? With the leaderboard points, you have to hope maybe you do good and someone else does bad, whereas the monthly finals, you just can take it and go to golden final, or do that golden ticket and go to world finals. So, yeah, here we go.
And Fish slaps that fisherman off the that miner off the tower. I think the Fish is still objectively the funniest attack or weapon in the game.
And the fact that it like slows you, there's something that's kind of wrong about it, but I like it.
Monk to protect and pull stuff to the back end. And we just have a reflect off in the middle of Lucas's side of the board.
And interesting right now, Mohamed Light just showing one evolution.
RG in, Log plus Ice Spirit to try to hold. Skelly's come in behind on the guards. Evo RG, the Zap is the second evolution, but a nice Log plus Evo RG ability takes the guards out, and that's a ton of damage to give Lucas the lead by almost 1,000 HP.
Yeah, that was absolutely huge. And again, we find Mohamed Light using like a double small spell situation or not having a huge spell. That's not really anything to do with what just happened. Just kind of an observation is the way that he's been constructing his decks throughout the day.
First 2 minutes ticking away. Double elixir. Gonna start flowing here in just a moment.
And I know Juice is here on cast. Now that we've seen all 16 cards showing, Juicy, how you feeling about this matchup with Lucas already out to a big lead?
It's a good question. If it was evened up, I'd probably give it to Mo just because of how strong this defense can be. But, you know, we've talked about it a lot today. The only counter guards in the game that is left is Log, but then Lucas also has the Electric Spear to pair with that.
Yep.
And the fact that he's got a big spell and Mo doesn't makes me definitely think that Lucas is in a huge driver's seat here. It would take a big mistake for Lucas to choke this one.
And a nice Evo Zap to maintain position on the right-hand side. Monk has to come out to prevent even more damage coming in. Mohamed Light loading up on the Phoenix, the Phoenixes. Phoenix Eye? I know it's Phoenixes, but it feels like it should be some other conjugation.
Phoenix Eye, yeah. And nice damage from Mo in both lanes. Lucas does get a King Tower activation there, but at what cost? 1,600 now to 1,427. Now both weaker towers in the same left-hand side as a lightning comes down, and we'll see if Mo's just going to put the pedal to the metal here.
Phoenix Eye? Not sure. I don't have it. But Lucas...
That's going to get the Monk on tower.
Oh, my word. Oh, my word. The Monk actually does that? The Monk actually does that. What? No way.
No way, dude. This is insane.
I said that it would take a big mistake. I think there was a few, but most important...
Here we go. Deck's finally set. Game number 2. Mohamed Light with a chance to make it 4 for 4.
Mo Light with a snowball and some skeletons so far. Maybe some sort of balloon cycle deck, or maybe just replacing the Log with the snowball in a regular deck, like maybe a Hog Rider, or we saw him play bait snowball earlier as well. Interesting to see both players just kind of leaking elixir and waiting to double time, though.
Our first heal spirit for the day, I think, too.
Yeah, heal spirit out. I mean, we see that with 3M. We see it with Ram Rider. Can't imagine he's running elixir golem.
I mean, I've seen people are running some elixir golem right now. I don't think that's what he's doing here, but people have been running it. Popped up on Royale API the other day.
Yeah, I think you're right, Andrew. I think this is Graveyard at the bottom here from Mohamed Light. Maybe. Here comes the giant skeleton as well. Lucas, on the other hand, I mean, I think he's using a giant Heal Spirit mini P.E.K.K.A cycle deck. How the matchups would go against each other, I'm not exactly sure, but it seems like Lucas might have a slight edge here, just having the arrows from the archers, and mini P.E.K.K.A obviously one of the best counters to Giant Skelly as well.
And Goblin Giant in its evolved form, or not evolved form yet, but Evo slot for Goblin Giant.
And even in the clan chat, of course, Luke is talking a little bit of trash to Momo. I love to see it. I'm so excited to see both of them at World Finals. And, you know, this is the third time today, or fourth time, maybe fifth time even now, that I keep thinking about Mo just playing a deck that I have not seen anyone else run, period. There was the E-Dragon deck. There was obviously the Monk Wallbreakers deck. Here's this Graveyard deck. He's just doing it with everything.
And, of course, we're up against Goblin Giant Sparky. And if you're going to pick something that Mo's had trouble with, quite famously, our World Finals, the Goblin Giant meta did not treat him kindly. So why not get wild with it here if you're Lucas?
And wow, I mean, this is definitely getting wild with it. That Sparky is completely uncontested, as is the mini P.E.K.K.A. Archers come down just in time.
That zap was so perfect, I have to say. The zap stunning the Evo Archers to retarget Evo Archers away from the Sparky. I thought there was a chance that maybe that Sparky just doesn't hit tower because of the Evo Archers DPS, and that's over.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Lucas laughing here, too. Lucas is like, yo, are you serious that just did a thing? Did I really just do that?
That's what I needed to do?
Can some fans who watch the show, can any stop Mohamed Light? So I know there's a lot of people watching right now hoping that this goes for Lucas. I know one person in particular, though, who has a lot to say about that. And Lucas, the longtime Hog player, goes Hog in his biggest moment.
Does he have Valk? That's the question. Got guards, it's at least a good start. And yeah, this is what I was saying. Like, I want to see Lucas just say, screw it, let me play with what I want to play with. And we see Hog coming out here in the final game of the day.
Excuse me, don't you know?
Separating the drill, or the bomber and the little prince. That's a lot he's trying to put down the lane on the left-hand side here.
Yeah, quite a bit of a pile up there, and honestly kind of a surprising one. I mean, it doesn't really end up mattering too much in terms of like the elixir situation. And Lucas, I don't think, is going to try to sneak in a Hog here on the left side. He goes right instead, and yeah, just a nice aggressive, calculated push from Mohamed Light.
Lucas not wanting to give up the easy early King Tower activation. He knows that the King Tower is going to get activated against this deck at some point with that Firecracker. But he doesn't want to just give it away for free so he can get a couple extra Hog hits potentially out of this, especially if he can outcycle that Inferno Tower.
Definitely. I mean, make your opponent work for every inch, right? But how to get to the Inferno Tower?
First 2 minutes of gameplay about to pass. Double elixir coming.
Ooh,
so far,
like
and that's a very nice Evo Firecracker connection plus a Hog connection. Great exchange for Lucas.
Yeah, Mo was even looking for the Firecracker. He just, I think, guessed in the wrong spot. Lucas plays it over the middle in the center, and it doesn't actually target that Evo Knight. Gets damage on tower, and a great exchange, as you said, up by 800, or 600, excuse me.
Lucas is actually in a pretty favorable situation here. for a couple reasons. Number one, Muhammad Light is using Barbarian Barrel instead of Log or Snowball to be able to knock those Hog Riders back. As you've seen already, the Hog Riders sneaking through those Goblins to get a couple of hits, whereas normally it wouldn't be, as well as the Inferno Tower is just really expensive to be able to counter the Hog every time.
And also, you know, go back to what we were talking about before. That's a really nice bomber hit. Gets the Firecracker, gets tower on damage, and that is a devastating blow for Lucas defensively.
22, 28, 20, 40. Lucas goes to Hog one more time. The EQ coming in on the later side of things. Wants to try to sneak through one shot, and he does.
And he baits out the bomber. Mo really unhappy about that bomber, knowing he's getting in his own head. That is a free bomber and a free Firecracker down for Lucas.
And now pressure time for Lucas.
If Lucas plays the game that he's won tens of thousands of times and just stays calm and keeps playing these great high Teslas, keeps getting on top of those little princes, having the guards ready to go for either the barrel or the Evo Knight. I mean, he's won this game before. He just needs to do what he knows how to do.
Here comes Bomber behind us, I think. Right, isn't that Knight trying to lock that in? Decides to switch the lane. EQ continuing to stack up damage.
Yeah, and he's happy with that time and time again. Now he's got to find a different way to defend. Gets the drill out, Firecracker up high. He is making Mo spend all of his elixir defensively.
Mo might be back to another drill here fairly soon. Little Prince staying on the board for quite a long time, and there you go. Drill back in. Poison plus Barb Barrel. Opposing poison now for the Firecracker, and Muhammad Light starting to creep back in. Gonna get this left-hand tower down to just under 1700 HP, chasing that 1236 on his right-hand tower.
Both of these guys doing such a good job of keeping track of their opponent's evolution. Mo Light protects his bomber. Bomber gets on top of the tower.
And just barely rescues his own tower from the Mighty Miner. Firecracker connects. Hog Rider in. EQ trying to make room for the Hog Rider. Firecracker still alive. Hog doesn't get a shot. 796, 973. Mohammed Light wants to get one more drill down. Not going to be able to poison here. Oh, he can't do it.
Lucas did it. Lucas did it.
Oh, my word.
Lucas is the July monthly finals champion, the only person to beat Mo all 2024, and he knows it. Feeling himself, you love to see it.